It's time we face the dark reality. Just like the fox who convinced himself that the grapes that were out of his reach were probably sour, we too try to convince ourselves why we don't want what we can't have, or are better off without it. We see attractive people on social media living large with luxury lifestyles, happy families, beautiful partners, endless vacations, and impressive accomplishments, all being rewarded with a mass of followers and engagement. We try and tell ourselves it's all fake. Oh, they probably just bought it all, their followers. Their relationship is terrible. Or, if they're a guy, his girlfriend, he's probably paying her to be with him. Oh, they probably bought it all on credit. Or they're just renting that nice car. In some cases, like with Wes Watson, that may be true. But the ugly truth is, the majority of the time, the only thing fake about them is a light Instagram filter. It's time we face the fact that their lives are objectively better than ours. These people do not deserve your sympathy. They don't need it. We are worthless, insignificant peons and peasants that serve no purpose in life other than to be exploited and used as disposable toys to crush beneath their mighty heels. If you're anything like me, Reddit threads can be extremely infuriating, especially when it feels like your viewpoint is the only one that isn't being represented. But you can occasionally find gems of comments and posts from people that seem to be exactly on your wavelength, and it's incredibly validating to see. Today, I've dug up a few of those gems to help support my points and to help us find camaraderie in our collective tribulation. Let's take a look at the copium people are huffing. First up, we've got an unpopular opinion. In a couple of years, we're going to see a lot of influencers going to starter-level jobs. There's a lot of influencers I've looked into that don't care about what happens after their careers end, which will mostly only last 5 years. So I think in about 10 to 20 years, we'll see a lot of starter-level jobs. You could be right about some of them. The gambling-like nature that comes with TikTok views, it rewards people that aren't necessarily the most intelligent a lot of the time. So I can definitely see a lot of people who gain fame from that just squandering it and not having any business acumen and not taking advantage of it and using their finances unwisely. So that's a big possibility, but I think this person might have this idea that it's a bunch of them that are going to have that happen. I think it'll only be a small fraction because when you're in that position, it is super, super easy for you to monetize that. Heck, people come right up to you and offer to be your manager and you're this and you're that. And all of a sudden somebody else is doing the whole thing for you. So it's really not that hard. Now that's some serious cope. And in response to that cope, we've got a couple other comments, one of which is cope and the other is giving the coper some reality. The cope response is, being an influencer is basically the modern equivalent of all those kids in the 20th century who used to think they're going to move to the big city and make it big as a model or in the movies. I think that's the most serious cope I've seen so far on this. Some will hang around the edges of the industry waiting for their big break. Others will take industry-adjacent jobs or move in altogether, and a minute percentage will actually make a living at it. I mean, yeah, I'm somewhat in the waiting desperately for a big break category, so that's true. But this guy says, gives them a dose of reality. He says, it's not the equivalent at all. First and most obviously, you don't even have to move to become one. Anyone can be an influencer from anywhere. That is so true. That's exactly what I was thinking. I just didn't know how to word it because I'm not, that smart. The other thing is, the market for influencers is incredibly broad with generally low overhead and production costs. Very true. Even, I bought a microphone for today's video, cost me $100, and the damn thing didn't even record. Apparently I need to buy a receiver or something like that. I don't know. It's ridiculous. But I'm using my old TikTok microphone. And he says, for traditional media, you have to get picked up by someone in the industry because they're the ones doing everything and with the resources necessary for doing it. Anyone can set up a TikTok, YouTube, or blog with pretty minimal cost, blah, blah, blah. You don't need a producer, or it's not like Hollywood. Yep, he's right. Love that guy. That guy really put the cope in its place. That was based, for sure. The hard truth. This guy hates influencers so much that he's pretending to be one. This is his imitation of an influencer. Hey guys, since I have no discernible talents like acting or singing or even just creating anything new for the world, I'm gonna preen like a narcissist in front of a camera and tell all the people poorer than I am what they should buy based on my paid for opinions. Don't forget to like and subscribe and make sure to leave a sycophantic comment below so I can keep my ego inflated and don't have to think about how totally effing useless I am. Influencers are the worst. That was a pretty big exaggeration. That was some serious cope. I like the rage. I like the irony. It would make a good comedy routine. But according to society, influencers, content creators are just not useless because there's a big desire for them in the field of marketing. You got all these companies, especially small businesses, even like mine, that want to send stuff to these influencers so they can raise awareness to their brand. So look, it's time to face reality. The lives of influencers and all those people living it up on social media are almost always objectively better than our lives. You might say, but Chadlet, what if their relationship is rocky? And to that I say, fair point, but at least they got to experience sex and a relationship in the first place, with a highly attractive partner, I might add. If it doesn't work out, then on to the next one. Especially for the women. A lot of people like to point out how quickly online personalities can lose relevance, which is true, but it's pretty easy to capitalize on it while it's still there and even gather a niche long-term following. With that little bit of fame, they could start a more successful business than you or I could ever hope just by leveraging their relatively small audience. And since those with lavish lifestyles gain more followers, it's a rich get richer scenario. This next post reinforces my point. So this person right here is along my wavelength. He says that even if you're just an influencer for like 5 years, if you're making $100K a year on all the brand deals and ad revenue and all that, and you invest right, that 5 years could have you set for life and you never have to work again. And honestly, for 5 years of making videos and getting famous and, you know, almost having fun and feeling free, that's a way better life than most people who work for a living. He mentions Mr. Beast. He's never going to have to worry about money for the rest of his life. Yeah, Mr. Beast, I definitely can't watch his videos because he just makes me feel so inadequate because, like, I'm pretty sure he's younger than me. And I really tried to do a lot with my life. I really did. And, yeah, it just goes to show that you can try as hard as you can. And it's really up to the universe if you're going to succeed. He also talks about how much harder it is to make money as an actor and get your way up, and how you can become an influencer over the course of a few weeks and make more than most people. And then he mentions models, and he's right. I know a number of models, and it's definitely hard to make good money as a model. Like, there are so many women that are models, you know? He does say that if you have the best looks and you know all the right people, which is definitely luck, then you can make a lot of money as a model after just a few years before you lose, you know, your youth. Last point about how influencing is easy if you're smart. I think that's where he starts to stray, because I think that you can be very smart and use all the right techniques and still be suppressed, still never have your content discovered, even if it's really good. It's not a matter of what's the best quality. It's a matter of who gets picked up at the right moment. And yeah, you can be in tune with different things and that does help, but it's no guarantee at all. Just FYI, if you see one of those manosphere guys trying to sell courses online about how to be successful, don't buy it. If they just started selling them, they possibly are just faking it till they make it, following the advice of the guru before them, telling teenagers to, hey, pay me $1,000. Oh, here's the secret. You pretend to be a guru yourself and then start selling courses just like I do. It's literally like a pyramid scheme. But I will say that once these guys get the ball rolling, they definitely are in the money. But they didn't get their money from hard work and smart business investments. They got it grifting from the hopes and dreams of losers like me. Don't reward their parasitic behavior. And there's only so much room in the market for the guys selling courses online on the same nonsense. So, do you still wonder why I think college is useless? This next guy agrees with me, but he, for some reason, wants us to change his view. So this guy says, obtaining a college degree today is an investment with no guarantee of return. He's a 22-year-old college student, serves full-time in a restaurant to afford education. College education used to be an investment where you could see a return in job and career. I think the qualifications of private sector careers are drastically changing. That's true. So the next part, he says he saw a tweet about some celebrity named Addison Rae, don't know who that is, was hired and fired for becoming a UFC correspondent. You can't imagine the hundreds, if not thousands, of other applicants who studied years to get into a position like that. To go even further, the TikTok influencer shared a bitter statement on Twitter saying that she studied hard for 3 months to get that position. 3 months? Are you kidding me? Amen. Amen, brother, comrade. I don't think your view needs changing, bro. I think you're spot on. Don't try to get people to change your view. Just embrace it, dude. You're right on. He says that's not even a full semester of college. Yep. 20-year-old girl already generated a net worth of $2 million. Yeah, that pisses me off too. Shows landing the career you want is a who you know game rather than what you know. Well, I don't know who Addison Rae is, honestly. If she's a TikTok influencer, that would mean that basically anybody who was a TikTok influencer with that many followers would be in the who you know situation, which does mean that it is possible to reach that point when you weren't originally, like if you weren't born into it. But it's still dependent on luck, and that's the problem. So he says he's happy to see another young kid becoming successful. Oh, Lord. No, you're not. Face your demons, boy. You're not happy. I don't know about you, but I do not get a happy feeling from reading this. And he also thinks but seeing news like this makes me feel like obtaining certain careers are impossible. If qualifications for careers aren't based on a defined set of knowledge. Yep, that is very demoralizing. So the old way is going out the door. College, it is pointless. You gotta trust your instinct here on this. So he says, after reading a lot of comments, I found an abundance of insightful information on why college is still relevant today. Yeah, it is relevant in a lot of ways, but not as much for many other categories of learning. And he says he pays too much attention to social media outlets and it blurs the line of his perception of success. He thinks success is truly up to ourselves, regardless of a college degree and social media clout. Wrong. Wrong on that. It sounds like you're young. You'll learn. Unless you get lucky, then you'll say that everyone else is just lazy or something. But all in all, I agree with his original opinion. College is pointless, and I kind of feel sorry for folks like teachers. Knowing this, society is doomed to collapse because no one will want regular jobs anymore unless they pay a lot more. So what's going to happen? Who's going to maintain the physical structure of civilization? Because no one wants to. Even being a doctor or a lawyer is kind of shit compared to being an online celebrity. These next people seem to agree. This next one says, I'm so gutted that being successful in a so-called 9-to-5 career is no longer respected anymore, just because I'm not a famous influencer. I'm a school teacher, and I'm made to feel like I've failed at life. WTF. I really feel for you, seriously. If I was in that position, I would feel just as bad, if not worse. I already feel bad about my life, but to go through all that would really suck, because not only that, but school teachers have to work a lot. Get up early, go over there and do all this stuff and deal with all these terrible kids that they all know, wonder who's your parents? What kind of influential parents could these kids possibly have? And then you learn that you're basically like their babysitter servant while the important people go off and run the world. It's really kind of depressing if you think of it that way. So the next guy talks about attitude is everything. If you were an influencer, you would compare yourself to more successful influencers. Yes, I would. Start comparing yourself to yourself. That's the only way to measure success or progress. You are you, and that is wonderful and good enough. You know what you want, and you accomplished it. Yes, many people are shallow and will applaud flashy success, but your job is making an actual difference in the world. That's a nice thing to say, and he's true about that last part, but it would not make me feel better. That would not make me feel better. Because, like, it's just empty. It's empty words because it's not the truth. So this person says that when they see people who are successful, who are younger than them, it sets off anxiety that they're closer to the age of 30 than 20. And I could not feel more similarly. We're right on the same page. I feel the same exact way. Then he says, and despite having had a stab or two at one or two things in life, they ended with me drawing a blank. Could say nothing wrong with that, but just further upsets me. The more time passes, the more I accept the fate of just another Joe working another standard non-important job. The worst part is that I feel real guilt and hate myself for it, and I hate myself when I happen to see my girlfriend watch a YouTuber do a shopping haul of 1,000-pound t-shirts because straight up I analyze how much she must be making, how she got there, etc., instead of enjoying what I'm watching, if that makes sense. Again, I'm not jealous in a vindictive way, but I watch and think how much I want it, but it's not for me. You have so much understanding from me. Like, we feel the same way. Except the difference is you've got a girlfriend, so that must be nice, but I don't know. Is it a girlfriend you're attracted to? Is it someone you settled for? What's the dynamic going on there? Because there are plenty of women that I'd reject. I don't know where your standards are. The only thing that we differ on is accepting the fate of just another Joe. I haven't accepted that fate yet. I see my life as more of a gamble and more of a be reckless and take risks right now because I refuse to accept that fate. Also, the envy from me is not vindictive either. I don't hate these people. Why waste money and time on college when success in life is mostly just based on luck and the caste you're born into? Don't believe me? Let's see what these other folks have to say. Now this is a long one, so I'll summarize. Ask successful people about their failures and mediocre people about their successes. So he's just saying that if you want to hear the truth from successful people, ask them about their failures and that'll teach you a few things. Because if you ask them about their successes, they'll just say they worked really hard and did it all by their own merit, or maybe God has put special favor on them or something. But he says it's the opposite with mediocre people. They'll easily focus on the bad breaks or negative reactions, and oftentimes some of that is truly due to some bad luck or bad timing. Yep, thanks for recognizing that. You can't learn to avoid bad luck, but if you can get them talking about their proudest moments, you can learn something about what's important to them. More like you can learn something about what an average person is capable of and what has potential for you to possibly try. So then we got a couple people agreeing with him about confirmation bias and survivorship bias. And then I want to focus on this last comment. He's basically saying that most mainstream celebrities with rags to riches stories were actually very well off to begin with, and that stuff was all made up for marketing. He mentions Taylor Swift's dad coming from a line of bank presidents and stockbrokers. Ariana Grande's mom is a CEO of a telephone and alarm company, and Justin Bieber wasn't as poor as the media narrates. Well, that makes sense because people want to rally around someone they feel like they can relate to and possibly become like someday. Same thing is done with athletes and stuff. The reality is most of these kids will never, ever be up to the standard of human physical quality to even come close to that. He's also saying that they didn't not necessarily work hard for their success. Of course, you have to study singing and practice a lot, so there's that. But there are tons of other people who are just as good, if not better, that didn't get that opportunity because they weren't born into the right family or the right lineage. He says these people will start out life with passive income from their parents, and it allows them to live a lifestyle where they don't have to prioritize survival, and that is very, very true. He ends with this TLDR, thanks for that. Those who were born into wealth have more chances and opportunity to accumulate more wealth. Those who are born in poor to average income families usually end up in a catch-22 that prevents them from accumulating their wealth, whether it's due to restraints on income, time, resources, or just sheer energy. Yep. Our next poor soul says, life is about luck, but no one wants to admit it. Yes, hard work pays off, but only if you're lucky. So many people work so hard their whole lives and get nothing. We only hear success stories and their inspirational speeches, so we believe that we can do the same. But the reality is that's not the case. If you replicate another person's process towards success step by step, you will not get the same result. That's where luck comes in. No, actually, luck comes in before that. Being born with the intelligence or mental capacity to achieve something is great luck. Athletes are all products of luck. Yep, 100% true. Athletes and all the people you're talking about are a product of luck from the very start. Obviously, if you're born rich, that's luck. And yeah, if you're born rich, your parents can keep you away from all the chemicals, buy expensive natural alternatives to things, start a ranch on their property and feed you all organic and the best of everything and no exposure to any toxins. Meanwhile, they're out there getting rich by selling the opposite to all the poor people who can't afford all that, so that they can basically mold us with these chemicals like a bonsai tree to keep it small and pathetic and unable to expand beyond the limit you've set on it. And this woman says, one of my favorite songs has the verse, life is like a game of Monopoly. The ones that get a head start buy up all the properties, start acting like they're the aristocracy, and make the latecomers pay the price for not rolling the dice properly. I agree, it's a sadistic game. There's no point to it other than to play with your prey. And our final Reddit quote for now, there's a stark similarity in the following statements. Anybody can get dates if they only try, if they aren't getting a girlfriend because of their own character flaws. And anyone can be rich if they try. If someone isn't rich, it's because they're lazy. So hopefully, after seeing the struggles of all our comrades out there, you feel a little less alone in seeing things the way you do. The truth is that the only way for society to begin evolving in a more egalitarian and fair system is for the consciousness of the people to catch up to the reality we're living in. It's time to stop living in denial. It'll be very painful to accept, and you'll deal with feelings of extreme envy and inadequacy, but the result will be absolutely liberating. The more people that are aware of how truly unfair life is, and not in the way the left-wing media likes to push, the faster we can bring back social mobility for the working class. It'll be a slow process, and it'll take many minds to come up with ideas, but the more enlightened people there are, the higher chance that someone will have a breakthrough. That is the purpose behind my content. As a final takeaway, I'd like to share with you something I wrote while I was manic at 2 a.m. the other night, about facing the brutal, ugly truth, even when it hurts, and why we should do it. Enlightenment isn't looking at the bright side. It's embracing your darkest, most painful insecurity and learning to enjoy it, turning anguish into pleasure, truly liberating. Once you stop trying to run away, you're free to examine it under a microscope where it can be exposed to light. Evil festers in darkness. Shine a light on the abyss of injustice so all may see the horrors that dwell within. Only then will the NPCs wake up till the hell they've become accomplices to. They will then have to make the conscious choice on how they proceed. They can either continue aiding in sadistic oppression or correct the behaviors that add to the suffering of the oppressed. Enlightenment isn't eternal bliss or nirvana. It's a painful truth you never forget, that you have to live with till the day you die, that you can never unlearn even if you wish you could. It's the forbidden fruit, a cross and burden you bear, and a message that must be spread and understood for the betterment and quality of life for future generations. A sacrifice. Suffer more in this life so future lives can suffer less. It's a curse, not inner peace. It's an inner war for outer peace, painful and prickly, like Christ's crown of thorns. Watch my first video to hear about the life experiences I had that taught me that success is 95% luck. And as a 28-year-old, 6-year entrepreneur, I've had some time to make some mistakes and a lot of time to learn.